So we tried to run a big move on the stock Bene for, to me, what seems like good reason. Now, as you can see, it completely fell apart. So in this video, what we're gonna do is we're gonna talk about what I did well on the trade, things that I did bad on the trade. And then we're also gonna talk about why I felt so strongly about this play and why I believe it had a lot of potential. And so I am not one to shy away from mistakes that I make. Even though the comment section lit me up, I know for a fact this video and yesterday's video are going to make you a significantly better trader, because what I'm teaching you is really how you find and play supernova stocks. This one we just got a little too excited about, held it too long, and obviously fell apart. So the first main important thing, when it comes to supernovas, they all end like this, okay? So that's the first thing I guess I didn't clarify. So today's just gonna be a full-on supernova penny stock lesson, so everyone's aware. So this is a supernova play, and this is exactly how they play out. A supernova can run 10, 20, 30, 40, hundreds, 200s. Obviously, that's kind of unusual. Most of them will run 20, 30, 40 bucks, something like that. So supernova plays, we know they run really hard. They're usually very fast and very quick, and then they come down equally as fast and equally as quick, and as you can see, that's what happened. So the first thing is understanding the sort of market environment you're entering into, which that I didn't really clarify because I am kind of educated on trading, so I just kind of jump ahead to things. So you have to understand that this is the scenario you are playing. It's first in, first out sort of thing when it's a supernova. Now, there are things with this stock slash SPAC that made me believe that it could be something other than just a supernova, which we will get to. So the first thing that I want to do is prove to you that yes, me and you and others, whether it be this stock or other stocks this week, they've all really been going super parabolic and supernova, if you may. What I want to show you is history and research and stuff that I've gathered from the past and put into a video in our course regarding mastering penny stocks. So what you're looking at is actually a video paused within the screen of one of our courses, and you will see a very common similarity between all stocks that go big boom, 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 McBoomstick, as I was calling it in the video, which made me end up looking like a complete idiot, but I'm only human. So let's look back at the chart, and this is why you're watching this video, to learn from your mistake and my mistake and be better next time. But you weren't wrong, okay? All supernova big boom stocks, they have no previous big trending price action, resistance, or like really any action, okay? That's what they typically look like, okay? Here are a bunch of stocks that I pretty much compose into a video. You will see most of them don't have much crazy trading action, spike. Daily chart, really no trading action, boom. All right, this one's a little different because it had like a downtrend, so maybe this really shouldn't be a scenario we consider. All right, next one, KONE, flat, boom. All right, CNET, flat, boom. Okay, DXR, flat, 1 day pop, 3 day pull, boom. Okay, RKDA, completely flat, just a couple 1-2 days pop, pullback, boom. So the setup was there, guys. It was. You and I were not trading the wrong setup. We were trading a good one, okay? We were, all right? Now, it just didn't have any follow through. Now, if you look at the examples here, as I have out for us, you will see KONE, 1 day pop, 2nd day follow through to 990. NETE, 1st day pop, 2nd day follow through from 20 to 33.51. ZSA we won't even consider. CNET was just a 1 day pop run following by next day a pullback. So that one just a 1 day rip, sort of similar to BENE. Well, BENE was almost 2 days. It was like a day and a half. All right. DXR, 1 day pop, 3 day pull, 2 day boom. Okay. RKDA, here you go, is sideways. 1 2 day pop up, pullback, 3rd, 4th day, McBoom to 66. KBSF here, we didn't talk about, but a little down flat and then boom up one day. So it is true that these supernova plays, a lot of times don't regularly run for 2 days. Very challenging to get them to run for 2 days, maybe 3 days, right? Very quick ups, very fast downs. But the reason I felt we could do at least 2 up days is because of the hype and momentum we were seeing in the market. Whether you wanted to tie it to the Trump stock, which I wasn't even tying it to, but I do believe a lot of people were tying it to that. Maybe that was a problem, okay? Maybe not. It doesn't really matter what the reasons for it coming down. We just know that it did. Somebody was selling it. Why it was being sold so hard, we don't really know. I have my theories, conspiracies, if you want to call them that. My opinion is, first, it doesn't matter why it came down. We were wrong, so I'm not going to sit here and justify means for why it came down. I have my reasons why I think things come down, but it doesn't matter. We lost. It doesn't, plain and simple, right? But part of what I think also could be it is that it was so viral, so obvious. I pumped it up. A lot of people pumped it up. Could have very well just been a very easy stock to take advantage of on the downside, basically take advantage of me and other traders in the market. So maybe it was just too obvious at that point, was maybe it. Now, again, I love myself a good old conspiracy because it makes more sense than half the stuff they tell me on the television. So you can be your guess. Now, part of the analysis on BENE was that what I had come from reading filings. Now, I'm not some master filing reader. I believe my research was good. I mean, it said it right there in the paperwork. Price needs to maintain 12 for insiders to sell. Now, that to me seems like the people that have the stock on the inside that can sell can only do so if it met that requirement. All right. So, yeah, to me it seemed like, okay, this is logical, whether or not it's not a supernova play like you see here on the screen, right? There was my other thing that I haven't talked about. Let's talk about that first. Okay, so these are supernova setups. In my analysis, it also led to maybe this won't trade like a supernova, right? Maybe BENE doesn't trade like a supernova, all right? Which we thought it was supposed to. Maybe that's why we got wrecked. Maybe it wasn't really supposed to trade like a supernova, but it started to because too many people tied it to the Trump scenario. When in reality, BENE is a SPAC with the potential $1 billion merger in the works, okay? So with the $1 billion merger in the works, maybe people just pumped it up too quickly thinking it was a Trump thing, but really it's a SPAC deal in the works, okay? And the SPAC deal in the works has maybe an $83 target. We talked about insiders owning it, doesn't matter, okay? So when we look at the stock CCIV, okay, when you look at this stock, oh, sorry, it's not CCIV because they changed it to LCID, which is Lucid. So LCID. When you look at LCID, LCID was a SPAC stock from last year, okay? Look at what LCID did, okay? LCID did something pretty interesting, okay? What did it do? Well, for one, it traded flat, spiked one day pullback, and then just trended up for 30 days. So I felt even if this wasn't a supernova penny stock boom, even though it's kind of what it looked like, that this could turn into maybe a SPAC trending move. But why did I feel so strongly about the SPAC trending move? Because my research led me to believe that insiders wanted to maintain a price of $12 on the stock, and then they would be able to sell. Or until at least the merger went to. That's at least what I gathered. So if the analysis or what I was reading was wrong, and any of you guys know more than I do, or you know and I don't, and you care to share, then please do. I am super open. So until someone proves me wrong there or is willing to sit down and have an educated debate and lesson and teach me the right way, we'll just say that I'm right for the time being. So let's say I am right and the market wanted to sustain the $12 price and keep trending up. Then this is maybe what it would have looked like. So I was taking the fact that we had a bunch of SPAC runs last year, and this was a SPAC stock, SPAC deal merger in the works, potential merger deal of 1 billion, puts a share valuation of 83. The prospectus even outlines investors on the inside need to maintain prices of 12 or the combination of the business plan, which I believe was the merger, in order to sell. So to me, it seemed very likely that even if it didn't turn into a supernova, And even if it did maybe come crashing back down, that eventually they would grind the stock back up above 12. So let's just play the conspiracy and let's say that yes, this was going to turn into a nice SPAC run. Well, if the whole entire planet knows about it and the float's only 11 million, you're not really leaving a whole lot of room for all the big boys to get in and run the SPAC deal. So that's just conspiratorial stuff and whatever, you know, but nonetheless, the reason that I thought we could do this was because I also think about how coincidental this is. So maybe, again, I built a stupid narrative and followed it too strongly. But this is actually very ironic. So I don't know if this is true, but it's probably something worth digging into further than I did. So you notice last year how LCID ran all the way to here and then it just tanked? Okay, I mean, stocks tank all the time, sure. You remember QuantumScape, that SPAC that ran all the way up and then like just randomly tanked? What's really weird about them is from the day that they break out and kind of pick up in popularity and volume, they run for about 28 to 38, or sorry, 28, 29 to 30 days, and then they tank. So if you count the days up from the breakout, it tanks on like day 30, okay? If you look at LCID, which at the time of this move, I think was CCIV, you will see it runs for, I think this is the 29th day, 28th day or something like that, and then it just tanks. Ironically though, both of the stocks, QuantumScape and LCID, end up maintaining, like in this case, LCID SPAC maintains a price of like 1596, okay? Which is kind of like where it started to break out on heavy volume there, all right? Now, if you look at CCIV, wrong one, QuantumScape. So when you look at QuantumScape, so kind of like the same deal, right? From the day it picks up in popularity with volume and breaks out, and where it kind of breaks out, it ends up in the future maintaining that price. So I started putting two and two together, maybe started building way too big of a narrative, and then maybe I even made it way too public. So the idea I built in my head was maybe this is going to be a SPAC merger deal. We're going to run up on the hype, buy the rumor, sell the news of the merger deal. And even if the merger deal doesn't go out, as long as the price so let's go to BENE, and you're going to think of these two examples in your head, or we're going to put it side by side. So we're going to open up BENE over here. So it's possible that I'm just an absolute idiot and maybe Connor's just wrong, right? And I just built too strong of a narrative. So to show you guys just how far I went with this and you know why my thoughts were so strong, it's because I had said to myself, whether or not this turns into a supernova, I don't really care. Well, I mean, I do, but maybe, right? Maybe it just ends up turning into a SPAC run like QuantumScape. And the filings even said, like themselves, that the price, if insiders wanted to sell or with the outstanding shares, the price would need to maintain a value of, let's just say, well, it was 12, right? So it would need to maintain a value of 12, which is right there, okay? So that's kind of, if we look at the stock from a 5-day chart, I mean, that's kind of where it broke out, isn't it? I mean, kind of pretty much just below it, right around 12. Right, so using that same concept, I figured, well, maybe this is the breakout and this is just the trending move of a new SPAC deal, right? Even the filing said, insiders can't sell until a combination of our business development or whatever, which I figured was merger. And it also said that the insiders can't sell unless the price maintains a value of 12 for 20 days within a 30-day period. So I was like, well, that's interesting. Let's look at these ones. Is there any resemblance? So if you look at this one, SPAC deal, runs up, merger talk, and then at about day 29, just before the insider shares unlock, 28, 29, stock tanks. Day number 30, stock is down here. Day that insiders maybe can sell. And then we look at the LCID move. All right, same sort of concept. If, 12 is the true breakout and price needed to maintain 12 here on BENE, maybe it was the same concept. LCID, this was like 15 was kind of that break point shifting, and maybe the insiders needed to maintain prices of 15 for 20 days within a 30-day period, or at least the merger went through. So looking at these two SPAC deals, I started kind of building a narrative in my head that BENE is supposed to be a SPAC deal merger kind of trending running move that needed to maintain a price of 12. And on day 30, if it maintained a price of 12, the insiders could unload their shares. So I imagined that we might have gotten a trending move like this, and whether or not BENE ended up having a merger deal with eCombustible or whomever, that it didn't matter. And, you know, maybe towards day 28, 29, we'd be super pumped up on the stock and we would let it go. And on day 30, insider unlock period comes and they all sell their shares. But as long as day 30, maintained over 14, then the insiders on LCID can share. If price maintained 12, and it kept going up for 30 days. If the merger deal didn't go through, we would still sell because then the insiders would unlock and they would sell. That is about as far as I went down the rabbit hole with BENE. So we can argue and just say that I'm just a complete idiot. We could say that actually it was kind of a very useful, smart, possible analysis. You can still build the case that maybe we just made the play too public and we showed the hand of the insiders and institutions, and now they don't want us to have a part of it right now. A lot of narratives you can build, but the only one that really matters is the fact that we lost, and that's it. So now let's just actually look at the trades, and I'll show you everything and everywhere that I traded and really could have done better. Okay. So I will say this. If you follow our YouTube stream on a day-to-day basis, though you may have followed us on the day that BENE was absolute shit, terrible YouTube stream. If you follow us on a regular basis, you will probably come to find that we would have typically told you to short this down to this level. Really, we typically would have said you should bet bearish back down to retest the breakout. Typically how we would do things. But there was a lot of hype in the market, a lot of Momo. Really thought this could be the banger. So on a 9 out of 10 times day, I would have told you you're supposed to bet bearish. I promise you, if you tune into our YouTube streams more often, that's probably what I would have said. And I do encourage you to do that with me because we do cover a lot of stuff on a day-to-day basis. So typically I would tell you to retrace back down to the previous breakout level. That didn't happen. Or wait, no, sorry, that did happen. But I didn't say that. So the way that I traded this, we'll look at a 5-day chart. So first things first, I knew that the para breakout level was here. So the parabolic breakout level for BENE pretty much all started right around 12, 11, and like 1090. So I knew that was a para break level. So we broke, we squeezed, we pulled back. On this day, I shorted the stock all the way down to here. And then overnight, I got long and started pumping it over the weekend because I saw the value of a 10 million share float. I saw the value of a bunch of knuckleheads trying to tie this to Trump, thinking these people might blow it up for me. Alongside of the fact, I did some research and said insiders want to maintain a price of 12. If they do, they could turn it into a SPAC run like CCIV. So I don't even care if it comes crashing down, right? As long as we maintain 12, and still that didn't happen, right? So a lot of things baked in for me. So I got short the stock this day, crashed it down to here, then bought long after hours, stayed up all night with excitement because this was the deepest analysis I've put forth in a long time. Stay up all night, get long from the 13s, 14s, and I'll tell you how I predicted to kind of start getting long there. I just had limit orders waiting in the 14s, and I'll show you how I went about predicting to kind of have limit orders sitting in the 14s. So if you want to do something like that one day, trade the very early open on something like this, or just in general, how you might be able to predict where it's going to go. And this is also how I knew we were going to go up overnight, most likely with all the hype and momentum. If you look at the stock chart of BENE, and we zoom in here, on that day we shorted it all down, there was a gap to fill. We created a intraday 1 minute gap fill. Okay, and that gap fill level, though tiny, 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 markets like to fill gaps, that's where the gap fill level was. Okay, that is where I started long positions. That's where I had put in limit orders to start the day, all right about that level, so that when we opened up and squeezed here, I could hopefully get a fill. I still didn't get a fill because of the volume and whatever, so I had to kind of leverage up on the move. So eventually, by the time we got to here, I was up $20,000 on the day. Then I let myself go red 3,000 or 4,000 back to the gap level, 7 o'clock rolls around, TD Ameritrade people come in, they pump it up, goes all the way back to the para-break level. Well, not the para-break level, or just the previous pre-market high. Back up about like 18, 19 G's or something like that. Don't sell, because I've built the narrative. This is supposed to be a big running stock, where if I didn't build the narrative and I didn't build such a research bias, I would have already sold for an $18,000 gain. I would not typically have held through the open. I wouldn't have suggested you guys hold through the open. I would have at that point said, well, we kind of banged out a good trade. Let's just see if it wants to retrace back to normal levels. But since I built the narrative, since the float was 10 million, I started building this bias that it's supposed to run like crazy, which now leads me to believe that I know markets are obviously janky at times, because how can you have a 10 million share flow and still have like 30 mil going through the dark pool? I don't know a ton about dark pools, so I'm not even going to talk on that, but someone did post like a picture on Twitter of like maybe 40 or something million dollars going through dark pools. So it's like, how are you trading all that if there's only 10 million in the public float? So clearly some areas of the market I still don't understand, but typically I would go based off of supply and demand trading, but this one I went based off of narrative and bias trading, and you see what it got me. And I will say, when I take my biggest losses, it's because I build a narrative and a bias and then hold a position for too long. And that's typically when I've acquired the biggest or worst or dumbest losses in my trading career. So I think that me making this video and the previous video is really going to drill it in my head going forward about bias building, at least too strongly, or at least having too strong of a bias when you're in a supply zone maybe. So anyways, mistakes were made, but also if you kind of look too, you will see that the market then ends up doing what? It fades down to 12, and what happens at 12? We get some buying volume, right? Trying to support 12. So is it because I told everybody on Twitter, or other people read the filings and everybody just believed that 12 was supposed to be bought? Or was it really there are some insiders trying to maintain the price of 12, and then, well, it just got shook down? And then is it, well, since all the public knows that all the insiders want to maintain 12, and if you buy at 12, then you kind of own same prices as institutions? If that was the case and I was the institutions, and I would try to shake everybody out so I can get back in my play, right? So those are all narratives, right? We just have to see what the future brings, right? If realistically this was a shakeout to take out the public on this SPAC deal before they end up running it up again, then yeah, these are fantastically low prices. Now, obviously, if this comes down and breaks this $10 price, then it's just an absolute shit bagger, right? With zero value for the time being. So we're gonna know very shortly what was up with this. The only question I have that I guess I now need to research is if the public has a 10 million share float, or 11 million, and insider shares are locked up till the 30th, where does all this crazy volume come into play? So clearly I'm still an idiot in some aspects, and I got to sharpen up my skills, but that's going to be a new fun one to learn. When the public float that's around for trading is only 10 mil, right? And insiders have all their shares locked up, who's creating all this bullshit selling pressure? Maybe Matt Kors is probably the one to reach out on that one. So I don't care. I got my ass kicked. It is what it is. But my heart says there was some tomfuckery going on with this one. So yeah, that's the entire play. Nothing much more to it, folks. 10 mil float, a lot of hype. People tied it to Trump. I saw a SPAC deal, merger in the news. Insiders had to maintain 12, so even if it broke down, as long as it maintained 12, we might be on to sort of a trending move. Maybe we still are, maybe we aren't, I don't really know, but one thing's for sure, if this does come back up and it starts trending over 12, and this starts to become a trending stock, I think you and me and everyone here just got shook hard. So time will tell whether or not I'm right or wrong, and it does run. This is a great recap video of things that I did wrong, and I think everybody can learn from it. So cheers to that, and I still hope you guys join me on my YouTube streams, because I really still don't plan on going anywhere. So all right guys, have a great one.